The Worst Podcast Ever can also be listened to on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and many more. Links in the description below.
So much about
What would you say if I turned into all the things you love to hate? And on my way comes crashing through the rotten beams and window panes.
Hey everybody, what is going on? It is episode 32. Welcome back to the Worst Podcast Ever. I am your host, as always, Dan Brosman. And guys, we're here in the middle of Winter Wonderland. Winter Storm Landon. I wasn't aware that we were naming winter storms, but evidently that is a thing. Yeah. They said we were going to get anywhere from 8 to 12 inches, and that's definitely what we got in the middle of it. And now it's just really cold. So, yeah, we're hunkered down here. Luckily, I had today off and tomorrow. And, of course, you know, school was a no-go for the kids. And my wife works at a school, so she was home today as well. And they're going to be home tomorrow also, which is the reason why I am recording this, recording it late. And plus, it's so much quieter at night. I hope you guys are having a good time right now. If you are in the areas where the snowstorm's happening, I hope that you guys are staying warm and toasty, playing some video games while you have this extra time inside. So what's been going on? Actually, God, a lot of times with podcast episodes, sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. But this one was like, how much of this do I want to talk about? Because there is so much I'm going to go through today. And so let's take a run through at the topics that we're going to talk about today. First, we're going to talk about is Peacemaker on HBO. God, I was a little late to the series here. I think they had 5 episodes already out. And man, this is just a great show. Kind of feels a little bit like the Boys on Amazon a little bit. We're going to talk about Boba Fett. Do I still like it? Do I not like it? Have I changed my mind? Well, we're gonna get into that a little bit. We just had Spider-Man, a new Spider-Man movie, No Way Home, came out, which was, if you guys haven't seen it, is fantastic. And if you have, then you know what I'm talking about. And we're having another Batman movie coming out, and it's going to be like an almost 3-hour Batman movie, and Robert Pattinson is going to play Batman. But I figured in honor of these two movies having come out and coming out pretty soon, I'd like to talk about some of my favorite Batman and Spider-Man games. Now, I know that at this point in time, there are so many out there. I haven't played all of them, but the ones that I really enjoyed, I'm going to talk about that a little bit. So, amongst other things, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. Well done, guys. Now, I'm from the Chicagoland area, so I am definitely not a Green Bay Packers fan. Let's just say that. Not at all. And I can't tell you how much it warmed my heart to see those guys just eat it. And, you know, and if you watch the game, you know that Aaron Rodgers only put up 10 points, and that wasn't enough. He was going to have to put up 13. And it was just unexpected. Actually, this whole NFL playoffs this year has been totally blown my mind. If I was a betting guy, I would be broke right now because every game out there, I pretty much was not calling. Although I was calling the Rams against San Francisco. I did say the Rams were going to win that one. But anyway, yeah, so congratulations to Aaron Rodgers. It brings a smile to my face every time you choke in the playoffs. Good job. All right, so Peacemaker. This, in case you are not in the know about Peacemaker, and I can't really say that I am. Peacemaker is a character, obviously, on the DC side of things, in the DC universe. He came about in the last Suicide Squad. Now, I haven't seen it. I seen like the first 5 minutes. I don't know why I haven't. Maybe when I get done doing this recording tonight, I know it's on HBO Max, so I might sit down and watch it just because I want to see the Peacemaker character in that setting, because the show is fantastic. So John Cena plays the Peacemaker, and he started off his character in this world, started off in this last Suicide Squad, which I heard is really good. So, and this is going to be spoilers, guys, and the same thing with the Boba Fett section. It's going to be spoilers. So, earmuffs, or here's where you bow out, okay? Because it's going to be a lot of spoilers about all this stuff. Anywho, I guess in Suicide Squad, he ends up, you think he gets killed. But, with movies, and especially with comic book movies, superhero movies, it's very easy to figure out a very simplistic way to bring these guys back. And that's exactly what they did here. And so Peacemaker is very much The Boys on Amazon Prime. And if you haven't watched that show, good God. If you haven't watched that show and you have Amazon Prime, you need to get on that, because there's going to be a new season of that coming out too. And The Boys is just fantastic. And so anyway, Peacemaker is very much in that kind of genre of like, hey, it's a superhero flick, kind of, but it's also going to be over the top, childish, and wrong. The humor in this thing is top notch, and I can't believe how much I'm enjoying this. And well, first of all, the writing's done by Peter Gunn. And if you don't know who Peter Gunn is, he is also the guy who made all the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And actually, I think he just got done, or he's in the process of shooting Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which I loved the first two. The first one was the better one. The second one, it was good. It was good, but it wasn't nearly as good as the first one. So he's doing this. Now, I don't think he's directing every single episode, but he's like the writer and producer. And it's just so good. I mean, you have Peacemaker, who is still, I think, connected to Cadmus here. He's supposed to be in prison. He gets out of the hospital after everything that had gone on in Suicide Squad, and now he thinks he's free, but no, he's still, well, see, he was in prison, and he got out, and he thought he was scot-free. Well, he still has responsibilities to, I want to say it's Cadmus. And if you're from DC, you know what that is. It's kind of like a secret government black ops organization. Anyway, so now he's locked in with this new group and it's almost like a group of misfit black ops people. Because you have a woman named Harcourt, which is, actually, let me say that. I kept thinking her name was Hardcore, like some sort of a call sign or something. But actually, when I looked it up, it's Harcourt, which, okay. And she's kind of like the Black Widow of the group. And some of these, Adrian Chase, this vigilante, which is actually his like best friend, kind of weird guy. It's going to be really hard for me to explain this show and the ebbs and flows of it with the humor, because it's kind of hard to nail down here, because they have this over the top kind of immature humor, But as you go along and you kind of get vested in the characters, which is really surprising that you get invested in these characters and that you get invested in Peacemaker. Because Peacemaker's background is pretty much from birth, he was taught by his father to be just a stone cold killer. And his father's a piece of work. His father, Augie Smith, used to be I want to say he was So he was he's the leader of the Aryan Empire and a supervillain known as the White Dragon. And I don't think he's the White Dragon anymore because he's an older guy. But yeah, I mean, and the actor that they got to play him is Robert Patrick. And if you don't know who that is offhand, he was the T-1000 in Terminator 2, the Terminator with the liquid metal. So this guy's been around for a while. Wonderful actor. And he plays him so well. So basically, Peacemaker has grown up with this father. Not necessarily the best role model, a racist supervillain. Just totally the worst scenario ever. But deep down, he is a good guy, and he has that kind of struggle with, him hating what his father is, but at the same time trying to live up to what his father expects of him, which I don't think can ever happen in this situation. Okay. And in the end here, what we're looking at, and so far we're only like 4 episodes in, but he's going along and you find out that they are trying to track down and kill what they call butterflies. And you find out about the 3rd episode in what the butterflies actually means is these small aliens that are about, a medium-sized bug with wings infiltrate and take over people's bodies. Now, why they do this and to what end they are doing it for, we don't know yet. And I think we're getting close to figuring that out. But he's been brought into this Black Ops group to hunt these things down and to kill them. And that's all it is in a nutshell. But the writing of this is so good. It is so good. I am not that much of a John Cena fan. I haven't been a wrestling fan since the Attitude Era. So it's been a while. And I definitely wasn't in it during the John Cena times. But him as an actor, it's always been hit or miss for a while. But this character right here has really brought him into his own. And I don't know if it's just the writing or the character just fits him, but I could definitely see this being as a springboard for him to do bigger and better things, which I hope so. Because I know a lot of people that don't care for John Cena because he's kind of cocky or whatever else. But, look, the guy is at least committed, okay? Because that dude is jacked. And as long as I can remember, this dude is jacked. Anybody that commits to staying in that much shape for that long, I mean, you got to give him props. I can't. I only have one shape, and that's round. That's what I'm committed to. And that's easy. That's really easy. That comes natural. I'm a natural round shape. It's just what it is. So, John Cena, that being said, John Cena, great job, man. I can't wait to see where this goes. I want to say there's going to be, how many episodes? 8 episodes. So we're on number 5. So we got 3 more, which is good. And I'm really hoping that this is going to lead to more things, like another season. But I also hear in the rumor mill that there is other side spin-offs of this show in development right now, which is great. And I hope that John Cena is in it because that is definitely what I want to see. So, yeah, guys, if you haven't seen it, it's on HBO Max. They got 5 episodes right now. If you don't want to pay that, I'm sure they have like a free trial. So, maybe in another month when all the rest of the episodes come out, then, jump on, get that free trial, and then you can just binge watch all of them, and then you can watch the second Suicide Squad. So yeah. So the last episode, you guys heard me kind of gushing over Boba Fett, and I really, at the time, there'd only been 2 episodes that had come out, and I'd really enjoyed those 2 episodes. I really did. I thought they were great. And I know I was a little hard on the people that weren't necessarily all that impressed with the first episode. Now look, when it comes to Star Wars and stuff like that, it's very hard sometimes to judge things like that, at least for me, because I have, the very, very much fandom part of me. And then, I want to try and say, hey, if I wasn't a fan of this, would I like it? And, it's got to hit a balance there, I think. And I still like it. I'm still enjoying Boba Fett, but there are some things here that I want to talk about here, because there are some issues with it, and unfortunately, I don't know how you're going to rectify this, because I think there's only one more episode left, so I think there's 7 episodes. This thing could have probably gone for another 4 episodes. Now, I know, costs of making, a series on a streaming platform is very expensive. I can only imagine. But, if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. So let's talk about what some of my issues with Boba Fett are right now. And I just want to say, I'm still enjoying it. But there are some things that just kind of are eating at me a little bit with this show. Okay. And so the main thing that's really bothering me here is that Boba Fett comes off as dumb and weak a lot of times with that way they have him written here. So basically he's a Daniel, which is a crime boss on Tatooine, right? So I was kind of thinking that they were going to write him kind of as like a Don Corleone, where he was smart and not necessarily brutal, but brutal in when he has to be, but he's also very smart and able to, work behind the scenes and position himself in that kind of way, along with it having that Star Wars flair. And I thought that's where they were going. And I think that's kind of what they maybe were trying to do. But I don't know if it's because they're just not doing it that way, or if it was lack of time because of how many episodes they were doing. But that's not how it's coming off. Boba Fett is coming off as dumb with a lot of decisions that he makes, and he looks weak in it. The problem is you have 2 different Boba Fetts going on here. You have the one when you introduced him in The Mandalorian, a guy that came in, kicked some ass, and just set the tone. And once you set that tone, if you go a different route, it's going to be very hard. And that's where I'm at. Because what I thought we were going to get in this show, because of what we've seen in The Mandalorian, it isn't what we got here. And I do appreciate the backstory of, how he got out of the Sarlacc pit, and how he pulled himself back up and got to where he is now. But in those aren't really, those are the good parts, right? And if you guys have watched this, write down in the comment section below if you're on watching this on YouTube. Let me know if what you think about this too, because it kind of feels like at a certain point when you get to not the flashbacks, but like to what's going on now and him kind of trying to consolidate his power now, it feels like it just falls flat. It feels like a little bit of fan service and then not a lot of substance, or what it just feels like he hasn't done anything. he's recruited this mod gang, which are these young adults or kids that mod themselves with technology or whatever, and they all ride these, like, they look like they're motorcycles, but they look like Vespas, and they had this slow and very very uninteresting chase scene in Mos Espa, and it was just, the whole time I was just like, it just wasn't doing it for me. And Danny Trejo makes an appearance in this as well. He is the trainer for the what do they call it? I'm trying to look here. The Rancor. So, Boba Fett gets the Rancor as a gift from Jabba the Hutt's cousins, because they're out. They want to go out because, the Pike are coming in and they're running their trade, their spice through there, and there's going to be a war coming and they don't want to deal with it. And that's the whole thing here. So, while he's trying to consolidate his power, he comes at odds with the Pike, and now there's going to be a war. And we haven't even started the war here. I don't know how they're going to wrap this up with one more episode, because for the last 2 episodes, he has been in it like a minute, maybe. Because these last 2 episodes have been all Mandalorian. Especially coming off a Hawkeye and how much of a snooze fest that was. And I'm not saying this is on that same level, but God, there are times when it definitely skirts the edge of, like, hitting that Hawkeye feeling. And while I have enjoyed it, the parts that I've enjoyed the most are the ones where where Boba Fett's actually not in it. And you have The Mandalorian. Because the last 2 have been kind of a setup, 2 episodes that have kind of set up for The Mandalorian season 3. I mean, The Mandalorian's going to help Boba out, but I would have preferred not to have these episodes in here and then just put them in The Mandalorian, or have The Mandalorian come in and help Boba out. I don't know that you needed to have 2 episodes when you're only going to have 7 episodes dedicated to The Mandalorian. It's Boba Fett, man. And I love the 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. I love The Mandalorian. But I want a Boba Fett show here. And it feels like that, in a 7-episode series, and you take 2 episodes and don't have, or barely have, Boba Fett in there. Now 5 episodes with just Boba Fett, and you spent 2 full episodes doing the backstory. He didn't even make it out of the Tusken Raider camp. So, I don't know, man. The problem is I just want to see him be better. I want him to come in there and kick ass. And they're trying to write him as being noble, which, okay. I get it. He has an honor thing, and that's kind of cool, but not at the expense of this guy being a savvy, underworld crime boss. Because either you're a crime boss or you're not, okay? Because as much as Michael Corleone and his father were fair, with a lot of people, they were also, when they had to be, would get violent and brutal. That's just the way it is. You're a crime boss. So you got to go in and you got to kick some ass sometimes. Who knows? Whatever. We have one more episode. I don't know how they're going to wrap everything up in this other episode, because there's supposed to be this battle or this war with him and the Pikes, and we only got one more episode left, and the war hasn't even started yet. So how are you going to have this war? I just feel like either this needs a second season, which that's fine with me. Let's do a second season. But I have a feeling they're going to try and cram 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound sack. I'm really hoping that's not the case. I'm really hoping. You know, you had Jon Favreau doing this, and you know, they haven't him and Dave Filoni haven't let me down yet. This is the closest, and I'm not saying it's a letdown. But it could be better, guys. Look it. I know I'm just a fan critiquing you in the basement with a mic, but guys, you know, I mean, I'm not the only one thinking this, okay? Okay. That being said, let's talk about this last episode that just would drop today, okay? So Wednesday. What, the second? Is today second or the third? The third, second. I don't know. It's a day. So pretty much you get to see Grogu at the new Jedi Temple that is being built and Luke Skywalker there, which, boy, they really did such a tremendously better job with Luke Skywalker in this episode. Now, the one at the end of last season of Mandalorian, when he came in to the Imperial cruiser in wrecked house with those battle droids or whatever, or the dark troopers, it was okay. You know, I mean, it's a TV show. You know, there's only so much of a budget. There's only so much you can do. It was fine. It was good. It was good enough. But, you know, once it got done, you realize the technology is already there. For relatively cheap, you can do a better job. And they did. They so did. And I want to say that Sebastian Stan, the actor who played the Winter Soldier, is who plays Luke here. I don't know if that's true because his face, they did like a deep fake on this actor's face, and it looks so good. I mean, geez, it does look so good. And his voice is spot on. And I'm willing to bet you that Mark Hamill is still doing the voice for Luke Skywalker, kind of a voiceover thing, which is what Mark does now. Mark's a big voiceover actor. We all know that, you know. And anyway, so really, really good job on Luke. And you get to see the new temple that's being built. You get to see like the very beginning of him getting himself together to make the new Jedi Order, which is great. Until you realize what they did with Luke and that whole Jedi Order thing in the next saga movies. I don't know why they do this. I don't know why they're showing us this. Because you know all this goes to shit. Because, oh God, it just, I love it. I love that they're showing us this, and it makes me so excited. Because this is what we wanted to see in these new saga movies. The one with Rey and Finn and who the fuck cares. But we got that other bullshit where Luke's a crazy old guy who just lost his shit, and you know, after, you know, he felt the dark side in Han and Leia's son and tried to kill him. Jeez. And it's like, and then you show us this, and you do it the right way with Luke. And it annoys the shit out of me because it's like, well, we know where this goes. We know all this, no matter how cool it is to see this. It's all for naught. It's all for naught. I don't know. God, if there was a way you could retcon those new saga movies, I know that's ridiculous and they'll never do it in a million years, but geez, you know, just take those damn movies and shove them. Oh my God. You know, how many years has it been since The Last Jedi came out? And I still just, it still just burns, the hatred burns in me with the passion of 1,000 suns. It's like, God, what are you guys doing? I mean, I don't think the only way I could mess that up, that storyline anymore, was if I really wanted to. I'd have to purposely do that. Anyway, we're getting off the subject. So anyway, we get to see Luke. We get to see Grogu on the planet to where the new Jedi Temple is being built. And surprisingly enough, Rosario Dawson makes an appearance as Ahsoka Tano, which I never thought was going to happen, which was a surprise. And I know a lot of it got some flack because it's like, well, why was she there? It doesn't really serve the storyline. I don't care, because I think it is so cool that her and Luke standing there talking, and she mentioned something about so much like your father. Oh my God. I'm sorry. That's just the fan in me. It just strikes a chord. That is so awesome. I love the Clone Wars series. Can I tell you that? I love the Ahsoka Tano character so much, and her relationship with Anakin as she was growing up during the Clone Wars. And to see her there with Luke and them doing Luke right in this moment, it's like, part of me is just like, just take this right now. Take the good and enjoy it as much as possible. Because for some reason, when it comes to the movies, they can't stop messing them all up. And that's not including Rogue Squadron, because I loved Rogue One, sorry. Rogue Squadrons is the game, which is a good game. And Solo, which was an okay movie. Maybe good, but it was very much okay. It wasn't bad. So, yeah. I guess we should go over like the Mandalorian episodes here. So, episode, was it 4? 4 or 5? 5. Yeah, 5 and 6. So, sorry, I had to stop. I'm watching so many shows. I'm like, which episode was it? So, episode 5 was all Mando. You find out where he's at. He found his old covenant. I think it's called the Covenant that he's in. And there was only the blacksmith, the woman who made the armor, and that one big, like, berserker Mandalorian. And, he goes in there, shows her the lightsaber, the dark saber, and he actually fights the big Mandalorian for the right to have that saber, and he ends up winning. But she asks the question, have you guys taken your helmet off, shown your face at anybody? And Mando cannot say that he hasn't. And now he's out. He's out as far as that goes. To her, he's not a Mandalorian, but, when I hear that, I'm like, whatever, because that's just, him being part of Death Watch, which is that sect of Mandalorian. So not all Mandalorians just keep the helmet on. Not all of them have pledged the creed, which is to never take your helmet off, show your face to other people. This is the way. I kind of like that. I like the fact that he has his helmet on all the time. I mean, it just, something about the tension with him with that helmet on when he's in situations. I love that. I love it. And it's such a good look. When they designed the look of Boba Fett back in the day, my hat's off to them, because it is such a cool design. It really is. I mean, that it never gets old. I mean, that design was what, early 80s, and it still works. It still works so well. But now he's out of the not being a Mandalorian, at least with, Death Watch. So now he's off to he went to okay, let's back up. Back up a little bit. So he needs a new ship. Goes to Tatooine to the woman that helped fix his ship before. I can't think of her name. Didn't write it down. I will think of it later. Probably not. But he gets a new ship. And what does she have for him? But a Naboo fighter. That was it. N1 Naboo fighter. And I was like, okay. But then they souped this thing up. I got to be honest with you. It's pretty badass the way they soup this Nubian starfighter up. I'm really enjoying it. That's the problem. I have a hard time with a lot of these shows, and especially with stuff like Star Wars, with change. In case you guys haven't noticed, just a little bit. But when I let myself, open to new ideas, I love the fact that he's got this starfighter which hails back, and it's like they made this thing like a hot rod. It's so cool. And I will say, in for those of you that listened last time, and Sean, I know you're listening, and I know that last time I said I would like to shoot all the Jawas in the face. I take that back. This episode made me appreciate the Jawas a little bit more. What can I say? I mean, I'm a changed man, baby. Look at me. I'm like, I hate change, and I'm changing. I like the Jawas. I like the Sand People. If anything can be said about Boba Fett, the book of Boba Fett, is two characters, two races in the Star Wars universe that I did not care for, I actually like now. I don't know about the Jawas, if I would say like, but I don't hate them anymore. I like the Sand People. Didn't like them before. They were annoying, but and I kind of had a more of an appreciation for the Sand People from that episode in The Mandalorian when they killed the dragon out in the desert. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for right now. Next episode we'll talk about the ending. One more episode left, so that comes next week. I want to say there's one more. I'm pretty sure there's 7 here. That's what I'm reading. I kind of feel like there's got to be 2 more, but I don't know. We'll find out. We'll see. Hopefully this ends on a high note here. But maybe this will end on a cliffhanger, and then, hey, Book of Boba Fett season 2, which I would be excited for. Then I'd be like, okay, but if that happens next season, no more messing around. He's got to come in and he's got to kick some ass. He's got to get a little ice in his veins, people. Okay? You're a crime lord. You got to kick some ass. I'm sorry. If you're a crime lord, you're not a good guy. You're not. You're a crime lord. All right. Well, anyway. Well, I know that we're not talking about gaming yet in this episode, but this kind of has to do with gaming. And I forgot that this was something that was coming out. But on Paramount Plus this year, a Halo series is coming out, and a new trailer dropped this past Sunday. And I got to tell you, this looks so good. And it just sucks that it's on Paramount Plus, because that's something that I don't have. And I'm already subscribed to so many streaming services. It's just too much. But anyway, a trailer has dropped. The release date for this is on March 24th. So that's pretty soon. That's not too far away, because we're in February. And that is, well, that's, next month. It's almost 2 months, a little bit under 2 months at this point. I love the trailer. The way they cut it, what they showed, it's very, the show looks to be very faithful to the games. If you're a fan of the games, and I know I said in a couple episodes back that or maybe last episode, that one of my New Year's resolutions was to play and beat the original Halo games. And I'm in the process of playing the first one right now. I'm not very good at it. It's been a while since I beat it. Anyway, but yeah, this show looks to be very much faithful to what you see in the game. Both the look and the feel. And we don't really know what the storyline's going to be. And the Halo seems to be something that comes along Not right at the beginning, but at some point in the series. At least that's what it seems like. And it gives us a great look into not only Master Chief, who looks great, sounds great, but into the other Spartan soldiers. And he's a Spartan soldier. So there's, and forgive me, I am not a expert in the Halo lore and games. I'm not. I played the first 2 games. I have the third one up there. I've never touched it yet. But, the Spartans are pretty much a super soldier that they developed to go against the enemies of Earth, which is the Covenant. And the Covenant is, I don't know if they're all the same species, or a couple species together. But there are a couple different, I don't know what they almost look like lizards, kind of. And we developed a Spartan soldier to pretty much combat the Covenant, which is, it is really cool. This game is 20 years old? The original Xbox game came out like 20 years ago, and now we're seeing this. And the production value of this looks so good. There's not much more that we know about this, but from what it looks like, we're going to get more than just some eye candy. Because it looks like we get a little bit of a backstory into the Spartans as far as like how they become Spartans. And it looks like it may be a little bit of a controversial thing like the Jedi, where they take them as kids and then they train them and alter them biologically somehow. But the one thing, too, that people are always talking about. So people are talking about now, in the game, I guess at one point, one of the games, he does take his helmet off. But now they're talking about, is he going to take his helmet off in this? And I said, do you care? Do you not? And I don't know that I really care. You can do anything you want in movies as long as you do it well. If it goes along with what you're doing and you do it well, if it doesn't feel forced or out of place or unneeded, then okay, go ahead and do it. But, at this point, who cares? Let's just see what this is as it comes out. How am I going to watch this without having Paramount Plus? Because I'm not signing up for Paramount Plus. I might have to do what I just told people to do with HBO Max. Wait until the series comes out and then get one of those, free to try for like a month. I don't know. I don't even know if Paramount Plus offers that, but yeah, I'd be willing to try it out. Oh, and so the trailer, the way it's cut is fantastic, but the music they put along to it, and they put actual Phil Collins's In the Air of the Night to it, but it's a different version done by somebody called Kelly Sweet. I'm not familiar with this artist, but it is so good. It goes along with the trailer so well. Whoever did this trailer, kudos to you guys, because not everyone does a great trailer. Okay, there are some trailers out there that drop for movies that even end up being good. Movies that end up being good, that the trailer does them no justice whatsoever. But hey, man, here's to hoping that this thing ends up being good. It looks like it's going to be good. And, another thing to put on my list of things to watch. So, we just had the Spider-Man No Way Home come out, and which was great. If you went to see it, you know what I'm talking about. You probably liked it. I hope you did. And if you didn't, I'm sorry that you didn't. That sucks. But now we also have another Batman coming out. And it's a Batman that doesn't have anything to do with like Ben Affleck or any of the DC expanded universe. This is all unto itself. And Robert Pattinson is playing Batman. And I got to be honest with you, my excitement for this is not all that high. And I love Batman. But I was really hoping to see Ben Affleck's Batman in a standalone. But, Ben has a little problem with the drinky drink, and he couldn't get his shit together. And, hey, it happens. He got himself clean, but he's not doing another Batman movie. That's fine. whatever. I mean, it is what it is. But Robert Pattinson going to be in a new Batman, and it looks like a younger Batman. Obviously, Robert Pattinson is very young still. And it looks very, very... It looks good. I'm not going to lie. It does look good. I don't understand why I'm not that excited about it. I don't understand. But as I started thinking about, the differences between this Batman and that Batman, and then how good this last Spider-Man was, and all the Spider-Men that were in there when you had the original 2 in there with Tom Holland, which was awesome. I started thinking about, like, the games that I loved playing. And I've never been a big fan of a lot of superhero games because usually they kind of fall flat, especially when they're based off a movie. It's kind of they almost feel like an afterthought. Like, oh, we got this movie coming out. We should do a game with it. And just kind of, to where the game is just kind of not holding up on its own merits, where it's just living off the coattails of the movie. And one of the games I'm going to mention is kind of like that. But so let's go through the Spider-Man one first. The Spider-Man. In the first one these are just the ones that I played, or the ones that I liked. I mean, I've played other ones, but these are I don't have a PS4 or 5, so I know that Spider-Man's like pretty much exclusive to those, at least the new ones like the Moraleses and stuff like that. So I haven't played those games. So I'm not, just because they're not on my list here doesn't mean that I don't like them. It just means that I haven't played them. So the first one is the one that came out back in 2002 that I played on the PlayStation 2, and that was on a bunch of other consoles at the time. But that's the first Spider-Man. It's just Spider-Man. It was based off of the original Tobey Maguire movie. It's the first game that I got with my PlayStation 2. It's not the greatest game, but at the time it was the best, I think, Spider-Man game that had come out yet. And I played that thing so much. Do I go back to it that often? No, I'm not. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really. And that's because of the second one on my list here. And the second one on my list is the Spider-Man 2, which is based off the second Tobey Maguire movie, which came out a couple years later. Or rather, this game did. And this is the game that really turned me on to what superhero games could be. And I don't know if you guys have ever played Spider-Man 2. And I've heard people give this game shit, and I don't know why. I'm like, what are you talking about? Is it, I mean, nowadays what you get, is it equal to that? No, it's not. But this game kind of broke the seal on what like a superhero movie could be. Let me get a little drink here. Or not what a superhero movie could be, but what a superhero game could be. Because this, a lot of times with superhero games, at least back then, you were beholden to a timeline, a storyline, and you couldn't deviate from that. And there wasn't room to explore, room to kind of be on your own. And that second Spider-Man, you could do that. And that was fantastic. It was kind of open sandbox, kind of open world thing where you got to, you could climb up to the top of the tallest building. I mean, come on. If you've played that game, who hasn't climbed up to the top of the tallest building, jumped off, and right before you hit the ground, spin that web and swing away? Dude, it is such a great game. And yeah, there is a storyline to it that kind of loosely follows, the movie. Kind of. But, I mean, there's other stuff added to it. But if you don't want to follow that storyline, if you just want to swing around, there is other crime that happens on the street level, just like normal crime, like robberies and stuff like that. And you can explore all of New York City, and it is so much fun. Now, I will say, after a while, that does get a little old. But at the time, it was so much fun, and it is still fun to go back. And I don't know if like these newer games, like the Miles Morales game, if they're like that. But I just remember this was the game that kind of set in motion on what these games could be. You know, yes, there's a storyline, but at the same time, if you don't want to follow the storyline right now, if you want to go off and just be a superhero, just go do that. And that was great. And that kind of leads into my Batman list of games here. But I'm going to start, before I get ahead of myself here, I want to start off with two that started me off at the very beginning. And the first one was just plain Batman for the NES, which is a really good game. Now, obviously, it's not on the level of, you know, a PlayStation 2 game or an Xbox 360 game. But for back then, it was really good. This game is hard, though. It is hard. It was on the NES. But it is a very fair game. You don't feel like you get cheap deaths on it. And the controls are done very well. So, and I think that's why it feels like it's a good game. You know, when you don't feel like you're getting cheated into dying, and when you feel like it's just you need to practice more or keep at it. And that's the way this game is. I've never beat it, but I've come close. I've gotten to the Joker at the end. I'll be honest with you. After the second time I got to him, I was just so beat from it. I'm like, I'm going to take a rest. I'm going to come back. I never went back. I played every now and again, but my hand-eye coordination, my muscle memory with playing that game had already gone. So one of these days, I got to get back on the horse. I know I say that about a lot of games. But yeah, so basically off the original Michael Keaton movie, you know, on the NES, great game. The second one, which I'm not going to say is necessarily a great game, but it hits me right here with the nostalgia, is on the Sega CD, the Batman Returns game. And I just love this game because of the CD quality soundtrack on there. And just, it felt more like an arcade game. Is it a great game? No, it's not a great game. It's all right. It's all right. It's not a bad game. I just, at the time, I really loved it because it was one of the games that I had gotten brand new with the Sega CD player, and I love me the Sega CD player. So yeah, I got to put this on there. There's not much to say about this, but yeah, good game, not a great game. It's not bad. So now we come to my favorite out of all of them, and it's not going to be just one game. There are 3 games that I played, and I want to say there's a 4th in the series, but I've only played the 3. And this is where I think that the Spider-Man 2 really paved the way for these games. And that's the Batman Arkham series that was basically on every system. I mean, it's been on the PlayStation 3, 4, and 5, and same thing with the Xbox. I think the Wii U had a version of one of them. The Switch didn't have a version of any of them, I don't think. I think PC did. I think even the Game Boy Advance had one of them. But these games really did it well. The ones that I've played are, I want to say, Batman Arkham City, Arkham Asylum, and then Arkham Origins. Those are the 3, and all on Xbox 360. Great games. I love the look of Batman. Just his suit's more of a battle armored suit, just heavy, and again, the guy who plays the Joker's voice on here is Mark Hamill, and Mark Hamill did I think all of these games, and the same voice actor, I can't think of his name, that did Batman in the animated series, does the voiceovers for him here too, which is great. The storylines are fantastic. It has a lot of that open world, and it's a lot like Spider-Man 2 on the PS2, where you have a storyline, you can go and do that, and that's what you're supposed to do. But at the same time too, if you kind of want to go off into the city and kind of be that dark, menacing figure in the night, and kick some ass with some regular, street criminals, you can do that as well. I love these games. There's a reason why they keep making them, because they do so well, because they are so good, top quality, and the storylines end up being really good too. That being said, there is one thing you got to realize with these Arkham Asylum games. If you're going to start a game and you get into it, keep going. You got to keep going, because learning the controls to this is key on all these games, the combos and when to press a button and when not to press a button, and you get a feel for it as the game progresses. You don't want to leave and then have to come back and relearn that all over again when you're in the middle of a game. It's just, a lot of games are like that. A lot of the newer games, it just is what it is now. But especially with this, it's not a bad thing. But, yeah, that's the only thing I would say. Because, I played, I want to say Arkham City. And I think that was the first one I played. And I played like halfway through it. Then, life got busy. Came back to it a month or two down the road. And it was a rough road. And I think I got almost to the end. But, man, that first night or two, when I tried getting back into it, boy, getting those controls back down, it was a little rough. I'm not going to lie. But all three of these are great games. I'm pretty sure that there's a fourth one. I don't know what the name of it is, but I think you can get all these in a collection too. I have all of them separately, but yeah, like I said before, I think all these come on like almost every system except the Switch. It's crazy. They're just, if you have a system since the PlayStation 3 on up that's not the Switch, you're probably going to be able to pick all these up, or at least one of them. So, should check it out, guys. All right, guys. Well, I think that's where we're going to end it this week. A lot of stuff to go over. There was more to go over, but I almost forgot to tell you guys. Before we go, I just got a tracking notice the other day from Polymega yesterday. I'm supposed to get it tomorrow on Thursday. Now, very exciting stuff. I know I said I wasn't all that excited last time we got together, but I got to be honest with you. When I seen that confirmation that it had actually been shipped, super excited. Now, I don't know with the way the winter storm hit, if it's actually going to show up tomorrow, but it is on its way. At some point between now and Saturday, I think it's going to show up. So if you are a subscriber of my YouTube channel, keep your eyes open, because I will be doing an unboxing video and going over that system here within probably, well, I'd say the next month. I'm not going to say the next week, because I got other things that I'm working on for the channel right now. But yeah, that is exciting. Polymega on its way, 4 years in the making. Woohoo! So, all right, guys. Well, I hope you are having a good one. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. It's been a real pleasure hanging out with you guys. And until I see you next time, good night and goodbye.
You got mad at me and yelled at me, and I pissed in my pants. And I never did change my pee pants all day. I'm still sitting in my dirty pee pants.